right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Prosperity Podcast. Let's see. Today's topic is going to be about age isn't just a number, age-based bias. So we have a guest today, which is Nancy Davis, and let me give a brief introduction to this episode. The definition of ageism is a type of discrimination that involves prejudice against people based on their age. Similar to racism and sexism, ageism involves holding negative stereotypes about people of different ages. The term ageism was first used by, I'm going to mess this word up, but gerontologist Robert N. Butler to describe the discrimination of older adults. Today, the term is often applied to any type of age based discrimination, whether it involves prejudice against children, teenagers, adults, or senior citizens. The definition of age discrimination, treating a person less favorable because of their age. So, I'm going to give it over to Marissa so she can do the introduction for our guest.
Thank you, Jermaine. We have a very special guest with us today. Many of you probably know her from our wonderful training team, Miss Nancy Davis. I will let her introduce herself and let us know why you were open to discussing this topic.
Well, thank you, Jermaine. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Janelle, for asking me to join you guys this afternoon. I really have enjoyed your previous podcast and I'm a big supporter and fan of the work you're doing. So to be asked to come in today is truly an honor. Even though it was about ageism. So then that made me think, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? But it's a great topic, and I'm glad that it's something you've selected to bring to light to everybody in the organization. A little bit about me. As you stated, Marissa, I'm part of an amazing team, a family. We all, care very deeply about each other on the training team, learning and development team. My official title is learning and development specialist. But my background is also in human resources. That's what my degree is in, and was in human resources for quite a while. And then I saw just the light bulbs and the passion and everything ignite with learning and development and helping people make connections both in their personal and professional life. So that's where here I am today at the age of almost 52, happy and proud to say that. And so thank you for allowing me to come speak.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. I think both you and Janelle can provide a very unique perspective in this conversation just from going through training with our clinicians and care support staff and how we may train people differently based on their age, whether that be on purpose or not. So I know Janelle is going to kind of lead us into discussion here, but I think it'll be interesting to hear your guys' perspective on that.
Yeah, sure.
So, Nancy, my first question is, do you have an example of maybe facing age-based bias or discrimination in the workplace?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. That is a great question. And when you first asked me to come speak, I thought, oh, I know exactly what I want to say, how to kind of lead off with this. Because when I was younger in my career and married, newly married, my husband and I made the choice to have children. And I think this is something that a lot of women sometimes also face, almost like a gender discrimination as well. When we were able to make a family decision that we wanted um, we wanted to provide the same type of upbringing that our parents had provided us, and that meant that the mother, I made the decision to put my career on hold, and becoming a full-time mother, stay-at-home mom was my job. So that was something I was passionate about, and I have no regrets whatsoever. I think it's a very personal decision for each family to make. And I was very grateful that we chose to eat rice and beans for a really long time because it, of course, did, with only one income, there were some strains, but that was the choice we made, right? So when I was able and ready, when we felt like it was a good time for me to enter back into the workforce, I was coming in after being out of it for quite some time, almost 15 years, 16 years, and coming back into it at 40 something, early 40s, and competing. It's like I had to start all over. So that was difficult for me. Even though, you put on a resume, when you graduated, when you earned your degree, when your last employment was, and then you try to explain the reasons of gaps in your employment record, there is this underlining, it's kind of like an open secret. It does occur. And I think that when people are looking for jobs, um, especially the new algorithms that are out now, when we're hiring people, the algorithms that scan your resume may kick you out of eligibility because, time frames or things like that. So it's, um, I faced it. I faced it. I was able to, and I had someone even in my interview, I'll never forget it. She asked me, um, do you feel like with you being out of the workforce for so long that it'll be hard for you? And I said, no, I'm looking for a company that is willing to hire someone based on what they bring to the table. And so that, later found out, she's like, I took a chance on you. And I'm like, well, thank you. I mean, that again is like, okay, that kind of sounds a little, um, so what I feel needs to happen is an education process. So being involved with this podcast today, I think will help.
Do you think comparing, maybe looking at your generation maybe versus younger counterparts, do you think that there is a difference in the treatment that you experience, your perspective?
I and this kind of might relate to Marissa's kind of question. I personally try not to. I know that, especially like I experienced it with my children. So raising my children, I felt, and I've often used this in training. They came out of the womb knowing how to operate an iPad and a phone and all of those things, where it might take someone that didn't grow up with that technology um, a little bit more time. It may take a more of a, if you will, little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, just a little extra time to kind of grasp the concepts, or a little extra practice time. But that's okay. It doesn't mean they can't grasp the concepts. It just means that they didn't grow up with it. It wasn't like a norm that you had technology so current and in your face all the time. So, but that being said, sometimes I think that we all, whether you're younger or older, have to come in with the mindset that you're open to other people's opinions and
Mhm.
open to other people's views and open to other people's experiences, because that is truly where the magic happens. When people have that mindset, it's really almost a mindset shift, in my opinion.
I agree. And going into that mindset shift, thinking about, even assumptions, assuming that older may not be able to figure out this tech versus somebody that's younger, and then seeing it happen on the flip side where the younger person is like, I don't do social media and all of this, and we look at them as if they have like green slime coming out of their face. Like, why can't you
Right.
get it? um, so, in your own personal experience, Nancy, how do you overcome assumptions um, just based on who you are?
That's a great question. Thanks, Janelle. I like to, based on various circumstances that have happened in my life, I have come away with a learning of, everybody, and this is kind of, I'm giving you a preview to a module that Lisa and I are working on. Everybody carries different backpacks. We all may have our company logo backpack or our clinician bag that we carry over our shoulder, but the contents inside that bag are all different, just like the contents inside our brain are all different. And we all have what we might consider, I'm really strong at this, or I'm really strong at that, where Janelle, you're really strong at this, or Jermaine, Marissa, we all bring talents to the table. And I think that it's important to recognize that everyone has their own unique gifts. And when we can tap into those gifts and pull them out to help, it just helps the greater good of everyone. Um, I think sometimes, I have not experienced it here. And I think it's like almost a Shangri La. It's just been so great the way everybody's been so open to hearing other people's experiences and learning from them. I think sometimes companies, and I'll speak to like my age group. So, when we know that 35-40% of the US population is over the age of 50, and, I always say in my mind, I'm still the legal age of 21, but that's a whole nother story. Um, you people sometimes discount that really honestly, some of our older generational workers, they carry a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience that if it's kind of like intellectual property, if you will, that's in their head. If they're working within um, the healthcare industry, and they've been in the healthcare industry for 20 plus years, they're carrying a lot of really good stuff, best practices, lessons learned, things that have happened that didn't work well, maybe in the organization that they were in, and they could bring that forward and say, hey, have we thought of it this way? I think that it's important to understand that that intellectual property, that things that they know that they're either have, if they've been with a company for a really long time, or bringing it from another company. um, when we don't capture that knowledge and make sure that knowledge gets transferred to the younger generation, because hopefully the older generation will be retiring, um, if they can. Um, we're losing a huge chunk of just invaluable information. So it's important.
I agree to the fact that yes, they do offer, the wealth of knowledge, but on the flip side of that, when you start thinking about experience, it's on every single job application
Oh,
that's out there, job announcement, you have to have X amount of experience. Does that, in a sense, create a bias against the younger person? Like, I'm 31, Marissa, you're what, 23, 24, and yeah, 24, there, because you had a
24.
birthday.
Yep.
So, our millennials, our age group, we, in a sense, get that biasness because we don't,
yeah.
quote unquote, have that wealth of knowledge. So, can you speak a little bit about that? Just, comparing the wealth of knowledge versus
Mhm.
the experience that maybe the younger generation may have.
I love that, because I was going to use an example of um, some of the job postings, that you might see online. They have an age bias language around them for the older generation, with saying, new college students, we need fast, agile, you know, that might
Microsoft Office guru. Like,
guru, tech
yeah.
savvy,
Mhm.
these words that we're used to seeing in job postings that are being
Yeah.
posted by people that, you know, work in an area that should be aware and sensitive to. That's why I say it's like the silent thing that just kind of is happening. Um, that can be discouraging to older workers in some cases, and honestly, from a legal perspective, it could say that this is an age discrimination. So it goes both ways. To your point of experience, I think that how do you get experience? Well, you got to hire me. You got to let me show you through our discussions, through the other life lessons that I've been through, how I rise to the occasion. I overcome adversity. I am a team player. I can communicate well. These are sometimes these skills I think are often more important than perhaps, in some job postings. I can teach someone how to utilize a system or become tech savvy. I can teach that skill. But I can't teach someone to become a really strong communicator or be a leader or be someone that doesn't discriminate. That's a little bit harder to a quality in someone to teach once they're hired. So,
Yeah.
um, does that answer your question?
You did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to have anything you'd like to add?
I think there's kind of oh, sorry, Jermaine, were you
No,
gonna?
go ahead. I'll follow up on you.
I think there's kind of this running joke of the millennial generation, that says like jobs want us to have 10 years of experience and pay us little to nothing, pay us $15 an hour, to take this position. And I think that sometimes does hold true because we can't meet this 10 years of experience you want, but then you want this quick, young, fresh out of college person, and it just doesn't match up. So do you think there's something that recruiters need to do differently so they're not using that biased language,
Yeah.
and just to make it even across all the playing fields?
Well, and I think, thank you, Marissa, for saying that. And I think, like, for example, this podcast today is the first start. You know, to to give you the reverse, I can hear what you're saying and can totally relate. And the reverse might be to an older person, instead of trying to reinvent themselves or feel like they've got to cover their gray, which is totally a personal choice for me, has nothing to do with getting the job. But um, so much gray underneath here. But it's it's not about reinventing ourselves on either side or presenting ourselves. Perhaps it's more of the education process about businesses reinventing themselves and businesses that are being more welcoming and inclusive to every generation, to every generation that we could have the opportunity to work for. And I think that's what's key. And so, to your point, how do we help the recruiters? Well, that's a culture, right? So, what is the company culture? What is the culture saying? So, like here, our values are so huge, and our why. Why do you do what you do? Um, I think that speaks volumes in the way that we are trying to be inclusive, and we are so open to pivoting and hearing other voices and opinions and course correcting based on those opinions, regardless of age. If you bring something to the table and you feel strongly about it and have the evidence to back it up, let's try it out. And I've seen that happen. And to me, that's awesome. So I think it starts with the culture, and that starts from the top. And that gets kind of osmosis, like you just feel it. You just feel it, and you know that you're at the right place, where you're in alignment with those cultures. And you have to start somewhere, and then we create a change. So
Great, Jermaine. Did you have anything?
Well, yeah, I just want to, say that I do agree with you, Nancy, because there's one thing you can't teach, and that's experience.
yeah,
So, with that being said, like because I know we're doing a big hiring push right now. So, what I look for as far as hiring someone, of course, I'm going to skim over your resume,
right,
and I'll pick out a few key things, and I'll look at, okay, well, they have experience here, or they have experience here. They've been, so depending on the person that comes in, regardless of how old they are, my interviews are more so of a conversation because I do understand what type of culture we want to set here.
right,
So it's um it's not an interview, it's kind of a conversation so we can see if you're a good fit for us, and also if you're a good fit for, if we're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for us.
that's right. Yeah.
So, and that doesn't matter how old you are.
No, it doesn't. Because if
So I
there's a
can
misalignment, forget
right.
about it. Yeah,
Age doesn't care about a misalignment. It can hit you whether you're 25 or you're 55. So it really doesn't matter. So I mean, if I get someone in there, I can have a 25-year-old who's had 2 years of hospice experience versus a 55-year-old person who's had 20 years of hospice experience.
that's right.
If the vibe isn't right, then I don't. I mean, all the experience in the world isn't gonna add up to anything, because that means I'm not gonna bring something into a culture that I know we're trying to build
Mhm, mhm.
that
That's right.
doesn't fit. So,
Absolutely. I so agree with what you said wholeheartedly, and I think you look at it, does this person have a transferable skill that we can bring forward to our organization?
hmm
And I've seen that happen. I mean, it's like I personally don't look at age um, at all. I mean, some of my dearest friends are younger than I am, who I consider, literally a sister, and then some are so much older. So it's to me, it's about the human being and the human experience. And, life is hard. I mean,
yes,
things that individuals go through. And in the end, we're here to support each other and have each other's back. So that's the first thing I want to know. Are you going to have my back? Because I'm going to have your back. So yeah, it's important.
Nancy, when you said that, it just reminded me, like, for those that don't know, Nancy and I are on the same team. And my
Yes.
first week here, she said, "I got your back as long as you got mine," and that's
Yeah.
held true. I mean, we even said like, "You're a Virgo, I'm a Scorpio," and we're uh we're a match made in heaven apparently to the zodiac sign, but we're also sisters when it comes to just being coworkers. Not
Yeah.
even the training team, but just in life in general. So when she says like, I don't really see age, I will say coming in, I feel like I held a sense of a bias, just the age gap and not knowing where I fit into the organization. And okay, are you my leader? Are you the team lead? Are you my supervisor? Are you telling me stuff to do? Are you not supposed to be telling me stuff to do? Why do I have so those things? But you also made it easy to come and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And from there, that's where we bonded. So I just wanted to openly say that
Oh.
stamp of approval, yes. You don't you treat everybody with the human experience
Yeah,
regardless of the other factors. Yes, they are important. Yes, you acknowledge them, but at the end of the day, it is the human experience.
it really is.
I
yes,
agree wholeheartedly. I do think it takes getting into the workforce to understand that it's about the human being and not your age, because it's kind of like when you're in college, you're around people that are all your same age, you have all the same things in common, basically 85% exactly the same people.
Right.
But then you leave and you enter the workforce, and then your work best friend ends up being 30 years older than you, and you can't even tell the difference because they're you connect on a personal level and you have things in common, and you don't even think about their age at
Right.
all. You just turn your chair around and you're like, hey Nancy, like
Yeah. Hey,
what you do over the weekend?
Marissa.
Hmm.
We've had lots of discussions about that, haven't we?
Oh, we sure have.
Back when I was still in the office, which I'm going to get back in there soon, right, Janelle? We're going to get back in there soon. But yeah, I totally agree. I think it's important. And like I said earlier, this is a cultural thing, like in terms of a corporate culture. I think that, one of our values is teamwork. And we really, really stress that in training. And feel that it just comes across because I could go to Linda, who's my boss, or even Angela, who used to be my boss, and say, "Okay, how did you handle this situation?" Because they will have experiences that perhaps I haven't had or been exposed to. If I'm a smart individual, I'm going to tap into that. What can I learn from this? What can I learn from you? And vice versa. If we can recognize everybody brings their own unique qualities, like I said earlier, and how can we as individuals grow from each other and grow from what the other person has learned? Maybe they went through a really hard experience. We can learn from that without having to, go through the same experience. So that to me is just invaluable. But this is sometimes I feel like we're just in this wonderful, loving, literally bubble, teammate bubble. And it's like, how do we get the rest of the world to do this? And, my mother used to say, when something seemed really overbearing or it's too much or overwhelming, she'd like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's how it happens. You just do it one bite at a time, one person at a time. You live it and you're an example. And so that spreads as well. We have to be the best of the best. We're wanting to give the best excellence of service to our patients and our caregivers. And we also need to be the best of the best to each other, to our coworkers. Otherwise, that creates a ripple effect where it won't speak out to our patients and our caregivers. So I think we're really lucky that, I hope no one has experienced age discrimination because it's not on either side, being young or older. But I'm proud to be getting up every day. Thank you. I mean, I woke up and that's a gift many are denied. So, and then you look at our patients. They may only have so many days left. And so I don't know. I get passionate about it. It means a lot. I'll be quiet
I love
No,
that
it's
you
okay.
get
You
passionate
can't put
about
a
it.
yep, you can't put an age on that either because I can get somebody in here that's 20, like I say, 20, 25, and they can have the same passion um because of someone that they were a caregiver for.
now. Yep,
Same thing for somebody that's 55. I
that's right.
mean, passion doesn't require an age.
It doesn't because, like we said, it's about the human experience.
Hmm.
And we all bring something so unique and beautiful to the table,
Hmm.
no matter what age it is. And the smart people, the leaders, they understand that, they recognize it, and they tap into what every person who is unique and brings their own sunshine into the world. When we can figure out what that sunshine is and spread it, oh man, you can't help but be successful.
So true.
I think
Yeah.
that is a beautiful way to end this episode. Um, Janelle, I know you're closing us out here, but thank you, Nancy, for joining us.
Thank
I
you.
I gained a wealth of knowledge during this episode, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us on this call. I know you have a lot on your plate all the time, so it's
I
appreciated.
appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for all you do for bringing these topics to light and for starting the discussions. And
Exactly.
that's everything. So thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Jermaine, did you
thank
want to
you. Thank you. I just want to tell Nancy, of course, I love to hear her talk. I love to hear her talk. Like that's back from when she was my trainer. It was, first starting. I'm coming up on my year anniversary too.
Yay!
So yeah. So I just love to hear you speak, and I really do appreciate you coming. To take out the time of your busy schedule and
Thank you,
have
Jermaine.
this conversation with us. I really do
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yes, Nancy. So glad you said yes when I reached out. So we're glad you're here. So as we wrap up, I do want to, if you have access to Flow, go check out our prosperity page. Look at all of our resources that are available to you. We should have our next episode up very soon. And speaking of our next episode, it is October, Halloween costumes, sports mascots, festivities, yay! But
Birthday.
birthday, okay. But with that, we're also surrounded by examples of cultural appropriation. But where's the line between appreciating and appropriating? What is even cultural appropriation? What does that mean to you? And why is it a problem? So start thinking about these questions. If you're interested, go on Flow to Prosperity's page and sign up for our next episode. But the next episode will be Cultural Appropriation is Scary, coming out on October 28th. So with that, we are glad that you have tuned in. Nancy, thank you again. And we look forward to the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thank
Bye.
you.